Hi, welcome to Olivia and Kat's podcast. So this is podcast number 1 for the 3 Books Project, and we did The Princess Saves Herself in this one by Amanda Lovelace. This book is primarily about a young girl who gains confidence through the whole entire story and throughout the unexpected life episodes that are thrown at her.
At the beginning of the story, the author hasn't given the protagonist a name yet because it is written in the first-person perspective. Throughout the novel, the book is written as if she's telling her own fairy tale. But this isn't just a traditional fairy tale where, she gets saved by a man she's a damsel in distress and they live happily ever after, This is her own fairy tale, she likes to call it, that reveals her pessimistic life experiences because it's her own story.
This book, she's constantly experiencing man versus self internal conflicts, both physically and mentally. So the first page of the book describes her emotional state through the quote, "Here live the raw and polished, and mostly destroying 2 pieces of my soul," which basically shows how broken she is and yearning for just that small sip of happiness. So, thus, getting into the actual pages of the book, Liv, what was the most impactful piece that you had read?
Well, I think unlike other stories, they usually start off being upbeat and they will lead to a conflict, and then it'll have a happy ending like most fairy tales do. However, the first couple pages of this book, she gives the readers a disclaimer explaining how dark and twisted the story is, which really was intriguing to me. And also, she described her broken emotional state when she discloses, "Here lie the raw, unpolished, and mostly disjointed pieces of my soul," which was said on page 4. Another impactful incident to me was when I read that her mom was extremely verbally abusive to her. At the beginning of the story, she explains how she and her mother went to the doctors and she was weighed. The protagonist explains this incident by saying, "At 11 years old, the doctor weighed me, and afterward my mother told me I was too fat and I needed to go on a diet immediately for an entire year. Food barely passed through my lips. I did not even allow myself to take a sip of water because I wanted to be so thin that I could blow away with the slightest breeze. Disappear. I dropped 60 pounds in the few short months, and I had to wear long sleeves to cover up my catharsis. Everybody told me how good I looked, though." I just think that's crazy how a mother could say that to their own daughter, and society is just telling her that she looks so much better, unhappy and unhealthy, basically.
What do you think exactly this quote foreshadows?
Well, I think this excerpt foreshadows the abuse she will receive from not only her mom, but from society, based on her physical appearance. It also foreshadows how society's expectations for women are so high and just unrealistic, and she feels as if she is always going to be inadequate for the social standards. Women are constantly judged based on their appearance, and everyone is so hypercritical of one another, especially nowadays with social media. The standards for body image for women are set so high and unobtainable because everything is photoshopped or plastic, and young girls are aspiring to look a certain way because of what they see on the internet as beauty, and they don't embrace who they are anymore. The protagonist is already suffering from insecurities with herself and her weight because of her mom and the abuse she received from her mom. So when she lost weight, society told her how great and better she looked being skinny, because being skinny is what is beautiful for women in society. But being skinny doesn't always mean that you're going to be happy, and being up to social standards doesn't mean you're always going to be happy and fully content. How do you think the beginning of the story represents women in society?
Well, for the most part, when reading over the book, this young girl who, according to everybody else, is supposed to be happy and truly is not due to the environment she is placed in. Within society today, many women are judged for their appearance and yet both confidence that is perceived as conceited, or they're basically just called a slut. And considering most women in society are insecure because of these hurtful words being thrown at them, this causes all types of damage. This story truly represents the damage, especially within women, hence the theme of women throughout the story.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I do agree that they have it way more challenging to live in this world because with confidence, women are perceived as if confident, that can also be mixed with being conceited. Like if somebody has confidence, society will try to shoot them down and say, "Oh, they're conceited," or they're so obsessed with themselves. But no, it's really just about having self-love. But society is just so anal about that stuff, you know? So, do you think this is still a man's world and we're all just living in it?
Well, personally, I believe that over time it has gotten significantly better for women to be placed in society, although there are some factors of sexism and women still getting paid less than men. 78 to 82 of what women make are a part of what men make. But especially in other places, like Saudi Arabia, the law had just been passed in June for a woman to drive. And especially in other places, some women aren't even subjected to education, voting, or rights in general. Another worldwide topic is also feminism and how they are perceived as just annoying women who complain constantly when their complaining is actually just a voice fighting for their rights. So yeah, I truly believe that this world is still a man's world.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
We are very excited to read the rest of this book, and we can't wait to see what's to come.
Alrighty, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.